I have a couple of friends that are on an insulin pump. And I have found with the couple that I know that they tend to just up the dosage so they can eat whatever they want. How can I encourage them to eat better, healthier, and not just use that insulin pump as just let's increase the dosage so I can eat unhealthy?
Right.
What would be some good ways or any advice you might have on how I can talk to them without nagging them to eat correctly? Because one thing as a diabetic is we don't like to be nagged. We know what's right and what's wrong.
Right,
So.
right. Well, this touches on, how do you give advice to people and things like that. And, in my office, a lot of times I see couples come in where one of the spouses is not doing what they're supposed to and the other one is nagging them. And so I deal with that quite a bit. Plus, for me as a doctor, in a way, I'm in the business of giving advice, and I don't want to seem like I'm a nagger because I want to help people and whatnot, So, so the general approach, I believe, to helping people, giving them advice is you have to kind of respect them. And at the end of the day, it's their decision, not yours. So when a couple, for example, comes in and one is nagging the other, I say, you know what? We don't want to force it upon anybody.
Right.
We want to explain and we want to support, but we don't want to nag. And if that person decides not to follow through, it's their decision and it's their life.
True.
Now, the paradox in that, Cindy, is when that person hears that, they're like, okay, it's almost like a sense of freedom, and they start listening more.
Oh, very good.
It's kind of like reverse psychology almost.
Right.
But I mean it. If somebody, for example, some people come in and they want to smoke, and they have lung cancer and whatnot, and I'll say, sir, I'm gonna love you and take care of you, whether you stop or not.
Right.
It's your life. If you decide to smoke and die in 6 months, I'm gonna respect you and I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna take care of you either way. But here's my advice to you. People seem to respond to that a little bit better than what's wrong with you.
Right. Why are you doing this?
That's right.
You know better.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Because none of us want to feel, talk to like a little child, So I would start there, meaning approach that person from a sense of, here are my thoughts on it, but it's your decision, right? So the next step comes to, what are the facts? Because they may tell you, look, I'm gonna take more insulin and I'll be fine.
Right.
Right? So what are the facts? Whether you take more insulin in a pump or whether you can inject yourself too. There's short-acting stuff you could take, right? What happens is even though you're doing it just right, your blood sugar is still gonna go up and you're still at risk of going down. So the peaks and troughs, I don't care how careful you are, you cannot replace your pancreas. And you cannot just have it just right. So even if you're increasing your insulin, for about 10-20 minutes, your blood sugar is gonna go a little bit haywire.
Right.
And over the long run, that's not good. That's not good for your eyes, for your blood vessels, for the risk of heart attacks. So even though you're okay and you're not gonna end up in the hospital, your blood sugar is gonna go up and down in such a way that it's just not good.
Right.
Ideally, you want to have your blood sugar, be as level as you can throughout the day, and you do that by eating right. And there's no substitute for that, regardless.
Right.
Right.
Which I have found.
That's
you
right.
have to eat
That's
right.
right.
So
Absolutely.
to be able to stay healthy.
Right.
And talking about being healthy, if I do become sick, do I continue taking my medicine? Do I stop taking it? Because I know when I have been sick, my blood sugar seems to be a little bit higher.
Absolutely.
So do I still take the same dosage? Or how do I know, or, on what I should do when I'm sick as far as my medication goes?
Right. Excellent question. Also that kind of takes us back to what is our baseline. For example, if you are a controlled diabetic, it's going to be much easier to do anything. Because you know your baseline, you can predict how you behave, your blood sugar behaves, and then when you get sick, you can kind of monitor it and then go from there. Let me take some examples.
Okay.
Let's say you have a GI bug and you literally cannot eat anything for 24 hours, okay? And let's say that you are on insulin only, right?
Okay.
I would recommend in those situations that you would stop taking your long-acting insulin and you would check your blood sugar 4 times a day and see how your blood sugar is doing and operate off of a sliding scale. So if your blood sugar is say between 150 to 200, and your doctor could give you that, between 150 to 200, I would take a short-acting insulin versus a long-acting insulin, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So if you're taking oral medications, all depends. If you cannot eat at all, let's take that as an example. You cannot eat at all for 24 hours. I would also probably either cut down your medicine or just don't take any. Because remember, we want to err on a little bit high than a little bit low.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So if your blood sugar is, if it goes up temporarily to 200, it's not good, but it's better than if it went down to 50 and you pass out.
Right.
So let's say you're a new diabetic and you're just diagnosed with, let's say, a GI bug and you're not eating. This is the first time this ever happens. I would probably, the first time, I would not take any medicine and see how your body reacts to it. Because again, your body is different from mine. When you're sick is different from when I'm sick, right?
Right.
So the name of the game is vigilance. So check your blood sugar at least 4 times a day when you're sick, or 5 times a day, and then I would err on the side of taking less than taking more, and then see how you behave.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be a general, advice on it. But it can be complicated, definitely.
Right.
All right.
Right. I know in different circumstances, depending on how I feel, when I'm sick, my blood sugar does fluctuate a little.
Right.
However, because I am pretty controlled with my diabetes, being sick doesn't affect it a whole lot.
Right.
So I guess that would be the key. Get your diabetes under control so that when you are sick, and staying hydrated when I'm sick.
Oh, yes.
That's a big thing, is trying to eat, because when you're sick, you don't even feel like drinking something sometimes.
That's true.
But you have to make yourself, just like you have to take your medicine, you have to do it.
Absolutely.
So.